Welcome to my list of the 5 best anime for 2023. A couple of disclaimers first. Though I tried to see as many shows as I could, there were some that I was not able to see yet. I'm still trying to catch up on Attack on Titan, for example, but I would like to recognize a show that has been a huge part of the anime landscape for over a decade now, so Attack on Titan gets the Lifetime Achievement Award. A lot of people got into anime in the first place because they watched this show, and I think that you could argue that it has raised the profile of anime as a whole during the last 10 years. The other big disclaimer is that I'm only ranking anime series here, not movies. Most importantly, this means you will not see The Boy and the Heron on this list, even though I just saw it and loved every moment of it. I only gave out 2 perfect 10s this year, and one of them was to The Boy and the Heron. It's already at least number 4 on my favorite list of Ghibli movies. Go watch it in theaters if you can. Now let's get to my number 5 pick for anime shows in 2023. Number 5, Undead Murder Farce. If you've seen my review of Undead Murder Farce, then you already know that I really enjoyed this anime. It's got plenty of monsters, plenty of action, and a mostly likable cast with interesting and stylish character designs. The main premise is that an immoral young woman named Aya has been separated from her body and now exists as a living, talking head. She enlists the help of a man named Suguru to help get her body back. Since Suguru is half human and half Oni, he has tremendous strength and is a formidable fighter. Aya's maid Shizuku is also a skilled fighter who protects her mistress and carries around Aya's severed head in a convenient veiled birdcage. We get about 4 mystery arcs in the show, 3 if you don't want to count the first episode as its own arc, and each arc introduces you to a different location, a different mystery, and a different set of characters. I watched this one around Halloween, and I might have to make it a yearly watch during October. It's good old-fashioned monster fun with a slew of characters from Victorian literature, so it's right up my alley. If it sounds like a good time to you, then definitely check it out. Number 4, Pluto. I think Pluto is best described as an anime for people who love anime. It's adapted from a manga by Naoki Urasawa, who is known primarily as the creator of Monster, one of the most critically acclaimed anime of all time. Not only that, but the manga that Pluto is based on comes from a story arc in Astro Boy, which is one of the most beloved properties of Osamu Tezuka, aka the father of manga. Now, Urasawa's style tends to be a lot darker than Tezuka's, so what we get feels much more like a police procedural or a hardcore sci-fi show, rather than the more lighthearted robot stories that Tezuka wrote. It's got a grittier, darker tone, and it's great. Pluto takes place in the future, where AI robots have developed to the point of being mostly indistinguishable from humans. Some mysterious killer is tracking down and killing the 7 most powerful robots in the world, and the story of what happened 7 years ago during the war in Persia is slowly unraveled for the viewer. It's a great mystery story where actions have real consequences, and there's a surprising amount of emotional weight in some of the scenes. I watched Pluto with the English dub, and I highly recommend it. I thought the voice acting was excellent for the most part, and the soundtrack was really good at creating an ominous atmosphere with its low, persistent notes that come at you right from the opening credits. Some of the best moments in Pluto force the viewer into a place of ambiguity, not knowing for sure if a character is robot or human, or if a robot is truly experiencing what they appear to be feeling, or instead if they're just mimicking what humans do and simply following their programming. At some point, I found myself asking if the difference between human and robot in Pluto's world truly made any difference, or if it would be possible to erase that difference in our world as well. For me, the best sci-fi leads to questions exactly like these, and Pluto is some of the best sci-fi I've seen all year, or any year. Number 3, Oshinoko. A few of you were able to see the deep dive I did on Oshinoko's first episode. Unfortunately, that video is no longer available because it got copyright claimed 21 times. I might try to re-upload and ask for a manual review, but we'll see. Episode 1 starts out by telling the story of a talented idol named Ai Hoshino, and it introduces a couple of her fans who will play important roles in the story later on. If you've seen the show, you know why that first episode is so important. It's over 3 times longer than a typical episode, so it's almost like a mini film, and you can divide the anime up into 2 different sections because the rest of the show feels so different from that first episode. Part of the reason for this is that there's a long time skip for 2 of the main characters, and they're at a very different point in their lives for the rest of the series. The show is willing to go to some very dark places, as it exposes some of the dangers of the idol industry and the entertainment industry in general in Japan. A lot of people felt that the show dropped off after that first episode because the plot twists were not as dramatic, or maybe they didn't like the new setting or some of the characters. But I loved the whole thing, and I like the fact that the teenage characters felt more realistic than just Genki girls trying to cheer everyone up with their friendship, or chosen one protagonists who try to save the world by yelling. Season 2 has already been announced, so hopefully we can see more of this story in 2024. Number 2, Vinland Saga Season 2. Vinland Saga takes place about 1,000 years in the past and follows characters in different parts of Northern Europe, primarily Denmark, England, and Iceland. I did not expect the turn that Season 2 is going to take from Season 1. The first season was much more about crazy fight scenes and the brutality of warfare, with a lot of character development for some key people mixed in. The second season is almost all about the character development, and the warfare takes a back seat most of the time, though there's still plenty of brutality in this harsh world. Thorfinn, our protagonist, is now a slave, and the first few episodes introduce us to a new co-protagonist in Einar, as we follow his capture into slavery. The bond that eventually forms between these two under captive circumstances was really compelling to watch, and I loved the artistic depiction of Thorfinn's anguish as an inner hellscape that tormented his thoughts and dreams. This is a much more introspective and philosophical season of Vinland Saga, but I never felt like it was overly brooding or too slow-paced. It's a great watch if you're in the mood for a serious-natured anime that has a mostly adult cast, and some of the more emotional scenes hit really hard. The first 2 seasons are top-notch, so now we just have to wait for the next one. Now I've got one honorable mention before announcing my top pick for 2023. Honorable mention, The Apothecary Diaries. This show came pretty close to making the list, and I wonder if it would have made it if we had just a few more episodes. As it stands, this is one of the shows that I look forward to the most every week, and I know that as soon as it ends, I'm going to have to start at the beginning and rewatch the whole thing. The Apothecary Diaries follows a young apothecary named Mao Mao, who lives in a fictional version of medieval China. She gets kidnapped off the street and is sold into servitude, working for one of the emperor's concubines. The show has some whodunit type mystery stuff, but what I most like is the way Mao Mao and the eunuch Jinshi get on each other's nerves as they both try to manipulate each other. My next video is going to be about this show, so I'll explain my full thoughts there, but this is a really fun anime so far. Number 1. My Tiny Senpai. More than just a cheap knockoff of 2021's My Senpai is Annoying, this show— nah, just kidding, it's Frieren. Number 1. Frieren, Beyond Journey's End. Frieren starts out by following an immortal elf who has to come to grips with the loss of some of her human friends who fought alongside her to vanquish the Demon King. The show expands to encompass the life-changing moments of entire groups of people in different time periods, all revealed slowly and expertly with some of the best storytelling in years. Its soundtrack is gorgeous, its characters are wonderful, and the plot leads the viewer through events that punch powerfully at a variety of emotions. So far, this show's been a 10 out of 10 for me. I fully expect Frieren to remain the masterpiece that it has been, but you never want to take that greatness for granted. In a world of overworked animators and production delays, nothing is certain until the episodes themselves are actually completed. But what we have so far makes Frieren the best anime of 2023. So what anime did I leave out that should have made my list? Let me know down in the comments, and feel free to list your own top 5 as well. Thanks for watching. I'll see you next time.